What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Longa Life podcast. As always, I am your host, Joe Longa, and I'm super stoked and grateful to have you all here today. I'm pumped to bring you guys this conversation today I had with Ben Holt. Ben is a filmmaker, a musician, an entrepreneur, a traveler, an adventurer, just an all-around like a human badass. He's pretty much done a lot of things that like in my life I've aspired to do. So to have an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody who's lived some of your dreams is a real like privilege, and I'm so grateful that I was had that opportunity to do this. And it all kind of came about pretty wild. Ben and I wrote him a message on Instagram on a post that he had put up about a retreat he was having. Just pretty much saying how much this is something I dream about doing one day in my life. And Ben was nice enough to reply and then write me a DM saying, "Hey man, I dig what you're doing with your podcast and I'd love to help. Let me know if there's anything I can do." And first off right there, that just shows you that he's an amazing human being. Because, he has a lot of followers, and this is a new show for anybody who's listened to the show for a while. You know that this is a new show, so to have somebody of Ben's caliber reach out and offer to help was pretty fantastic, and I was super grateful for that. So I asked him to come on the show. He was so down, and it kind of sprang off from there. We actually had a brief phone call a couple hours before we jumped on to do the podcast, and before that I had watched Ben's documentary because I'd been doing research on Ben a little bit once I had looked into him, and his documentary blew my mind. It really is one of these visually stimulating, and it evokes a lot of emotion just through his videography, and I love filmmakers who can do that, and his ability to do that is just phenomenal. And then getting to talk to him and having the opportunity to talk to him and hear how difficult it was to actually create this particular documentary and get some of the shots was just really astonishing. So I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity, to watch that before you listen. If you're not at work, I know it's Monday, but a lot of, I know things are still a little weird. Some people are still home, working from home. If you have the opportunity to go pop over and watch Ben's documentary, there'll be a link in the description that go watch the documentary, so that way when you listen to his storytelling about how some of these things got created, you can really have a lot of respect for it even more, because now I'm just even more floored by it. Then you can go back and watch it again after and just go, whoa, no way, I now know what was happening, because it's one of those types of things. And it's really, really cool to have met somebody who has taken the kind of risks in life that Ben has taken. And it shows you what the freedom of human spirit can get you. And Ben has utilized that freedom, and it's really, really cool. Through his travels, he met yogis, he met babas, he learned breathwork, he learned meditation, he experienced different types of plant medicine in the Amazon. One of his particular medicines that he experienced was a medicine called Bufo Alvarius, which is a toad, and the resin on the back of the toad can be scraped off. It is then something that can be vaporized. That vaporization produces a deep-seated transformational experience that can change your life. The molecule that helps this be accomplished is called 5-MeO-DMT. It's in many other things like ayahuasca, but this particular version that comes from the Bufo Alvarius comes with other alkaloids that produces an experience that most say has been the most transformational experience they've ever had in their life. Like ayahuasca, but Ben, having done ayahuasca and other plant medicine, found that Bufo Alvarius was the one that really shifted his entire perspective on everything, and in turn allowed him to become a facilitator of this particular medicine. And he has seen many, many transformations, and he's also created an integration process as most do, but Ben takes this very seriously because he knows how important it is to really integrate the teachings that you get in these experiences after the fact. And I think that that's just one of the really cool things about what Ben's doing with this particular form of therapy and medicine. I was really, like I said, I'm really grateful Ben took the time out to tell story. His ability to not only use video to tell story and and invoke emotion, but he also has that same ability linguistically. He tells amazing stories, paints beautiful pictures with his words of how his experiences were in these different countries and these different places that he traveled to. It's really fantastic. So I'm super grateful to Ben. I'm also super, super grateful to you guys. I know I say it every week, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to the show. It means the absolute world to me. I'm super grateful to everybody who's gone over to Apple Podcast and thrown up reviews on there. That is what gets this show out to the cosmos and tells people that there are people listening, and that more people should listen. This whole show is about helping people, so the more people that do actually listen to the show, the better. So if you guys could run over there and throw a review up if you gain value from any of these episodes and you really enjoy the show, that would be amazing. I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who has given Purium a shot. I'm so stoked that people are enjoying it. The group we've created, Diamond Light Rising Tribe on Facebook, has been a hit. It's been wonderful watching the transformation from the 10-day cleanse that we recently had. I myself experienced phenomenal results. I was very skeptical that I was going to, being that I've eaten very clean and organically most of my life. Wasn't really expecting to see many. I mean, I knew I would lose a little bit of weight because you're changing your eating, but I didn't expect to feel the way that I felt, and I've never felt so clear and grounded in my life, and that has then bled over since I finished the cleanse. It's been probably a few days now, and I feel great still. I feel phenomenal, and some of the people that have been, some of the transformations were amazing. My before and after pictures astonished me. Just a really, really great product. So I'm grateful for them to be a part of my life. If you'd like to give that a shot, there'll be links to that in the description, and there'll be a $50 off coupon attached to the link, so you can get that cleanse, you can try out the power shake, anything. And also, feel free to go over to my Instagram page, connect with me personally. I'd love to connect with you guys and hear what you love about the show, and just communicate with you. This is a community, and I'd love to know who's listening to the show. So, I appreciate you guys. This is very much an episode of chilling out. So hang back, chill out, listen to Ben's beautiful storytelling, and get ready for the amazing Ben Holt.
Well, cool, man. Well, it's so interesting, dude, because we literally just met, talked a couple hours ago for the first time, and our whole interaction has literally been something that seems like from the cosmos. I mean, we just our paths crossed, and now we're here having this we're going to have this amazing conversation. So I'm super excited to learn a ton about you. I've done a little bit of deep diving into some of your stuff. I know you're making films. I know you're helping people out with healing with some plant medicine, and you're doing retreats and just all sorts of stuff. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're all about?
Cool. Yeah. So my name's Ben Holt. I'm originally from Louisiana. Grew up a traditional central Louisiana kind of lifestyle with a little bit of toxic Christianity embedded deep into my soul. And so by the time that I got to college, I was so ready to get away from all of it that I still went to college in Louisiana. It was kind of a trap, that place. Mm-hmm. But when I kind of realized some things about myself and started to be this entrepreneur and started to really pursue money, this is one of the shadows that I've kind of had to move through, because this need for more money was instilled in me whenever I was young. And so I got really into being an entrepreneur and into network marketing and into doing these different things. And for years and years, I just chased the material things and the money and did everything I could to be successful, on paper. And so after I graduated from college, I finally got the opportunity to make some real money in a sales job with a startup. And so I went and did everything I could. I pulled doors for months and months.
Wow.
Ended up doing well, working hard, doing well.
Yeah, man,
and finally I made some money.
Commend you. Yeah.
Yeah. It was challenging. But finally I made some money and instantly whenever that money came in, I instantly knew, wow, this doesn't do anything for me. This gives me a little sense of individualized freedom, but it's not the end all be all. It's not what I've thought it was supposed to be. And so that showed me a lot. That showed me a lot coming from Louisiana, being in a place that's very contemporary. Very traditional. And so I was blessed to get into something online. And so I got blessed with this online opportunity. Again, thank God I was trying to be an entrepreneur for a long time because that finally paid off. I instantly hired somebody. Then I hired somebody else.
No way.
Next thing I knew, I was living the dream. I was traveling all I wanted. I was going to do whatever I wanted. I was making good money on the computer, working 2 hours a week. And I remember being in Costa Rica, sitting down next to the beach. Had just got done doing an ayahuasca retreat, and my beautiful girlfriend comes out, puts a plate of food down, and I realized that, man, I'm still not fulfilled.
Wow.
I'm still not happy.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, man. And
that seems like, dude, it's so funny because so many people chase that, man, and it's fun. This is actually really good for me to hear because, I think for myself, I'm not in the hunt for money, but I've definitely, I got a family and I'm trying to support, and I'm definitely after that feeling of full security and being able to
totally
manage my life the way I want to manage it without having to have that money thing be the cap. So I get where you're coming from on that 100%, but it's so interesting to hear that once it got to that place, it still just wasn't the thing. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's most, and I notice most people, whenever they discover their spiritual path and they really start to grow spiritually, that they kind of bypass the whole money thing. A lot of people don't get the opportunities that I was lucky enough to get and blessed enough to receive, to really realize that it's not about the money in the sense that this is a materialistic world that you're living in around materialistic friends and everybody around you is focused on money, So that happened, and then I realized I wasn't fulfilled in Costa Rica, even after having made the money, being able to travel, have total freedom. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Colombia and I'm going to go buy a camera before I go, and I'm going to become a filmmaker. That's what I'm going to do. And this was in 2018. This is only 2 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I bought the camera, I got the gimbal, I bought a drone, I did everything. I went to Colombia. Yeah. I went to Colombia. First place I showed up, I said, look, I'll stay here. I'll make you a video if you let me stay here a week. And they said, okay. They looked at my Instagram and saw I had a couple thousand followers, and I guess that was enough to them. It was interesting.
That is interesting. Wow.
It's weird. Yeah. And they said, okay, cool deal. I ended up staying for 3 months. I came back unapologetically myself. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. As soon as I was in a place where I didn't know anyone, I didn't speak the language, all of the expectations and all of the feeling that I was being pulled in multiple directions, whether it's my girlfriend, my mom, my dad, my friends, doesn't matter. I still felt trapped and attached to all of that.
Yeah.
After Colombia, 3 months, I didn't know anyone, had to make my own life there, had to be resourceful, ended up working there, being an entrepreneur there, and came back unapologetically myself. And I was like, wow, this is great. I'm going to move back to Colombia and I'm going to go do this amazing thing, living in this high rise, with this beautiful girlfriend, had all these hopes and dreams. Right. And I was in the United States. I was like, man, why do I feel like I need to stay in the United States? What's this about? Yeah. And so a week passes, another week passes, and I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of redundant. I feel like I still need to be here, but I don't know why. And so next thing I know, my friend says, man, you really need to go try Bufo with this doctor up in New York. And I'm like, what's Bufo? What doctor? I've never been in New York, this and that. Anyway, long story short, I book a ticket that day for the weekend, and I go up to New York, And I go up there and I filmed for 4 days, just got a new camera. By the 4th day, I was so frustrated and so sucked into the energy of New York that it was hilarious. Yeah, moving hostels, they're $50 a bunk. Like, I was like, what the hell is this? You know, coming from Colombia, so complicated, so difficult to travel around. Anyway, 4th day comes and I get a very small meditation in the back of a cab on the way to this apartment.
Yeah.
And so I get there, I meet the people, the doctor and his apprentice, and I won't say any names just for safety reasons, but
totally.
I get there, I'm like, yeah, okay, I've done ayahuasca, I've facilitated DMT, and, you know, I'm a spiritual guy, you know, this and that. Next thing I know, I have the experience with the Bufo Alvarius, and I come back, and basically my thesis is like, okay, if your consciousness can go that far and come back, then anything's possible. Yeah, so I said, and if that's all I get out of the experience, and that's enough. But 5 days later, as I'm sitting in meditation at Lagos in Austin, something happened to me where I was completely immersed in this ecstatic bliss inside of my body, like I was on ecstasy or something, like this incredible feeling. And it lasted for hours and hours and hours. And I sat in total stillness for hours. All I had was a feather and a banana. And I had them for hours, and I studied them, and I just saw myself inside of them both. And like, it was completely connected. I was seeing all geometric patterns that made up all the material that we see. I could hear from super far away. I had this experience that now I know was an experience called samadhi, or, you know, like a conscious baptism. I mean, a cosmic baptism. I had no idea what that was at the time. So I messaged the facilitator. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is this? I feel like I've never felt before. And he says, you know, okay, this is normal, gives me some book recommendations. That's all there is to it. For an entire month, I was way up here. Yeah. Everything that I had ever become, an entrepreneur, a traveler, a filmmaker, all these cool things that I thought were so fucking cool, I was like, I don't want to be associated with any of it. I got it off my Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I'm just me. Don't consider me anything but just me. I am. And everything was so significant and so beautiful and so precisely created and so perfectly created. And this lasted for 30 days.
No kidding.
And I was happier and more blissful than I'd ever been. I was just a walking ball of love, like love and light all the way. And I was like, man, I got to come back. And I realized, I was like, man, this is what the rishis and the sages and the monks and like Buddha, this is what they all experience. And this is what they call the nirvana, right? And this is why they stay out in the Himalayas and experience this instead of coming back to going to the modern world and doing like what looks like complete and utter bullshit right now. You know?
Yeah, man. Especially right now. So I came back, I grounded in, and next thing I know, I'm apprenticing with this doctor in New York. And so I go and start working with the Bufo Alvarius medicine and seeing it just absolutely transform people. I mean, people in Manhattan, they're riddled with anxiety, depression. I mean, it's kind of like the belly of the beast there, you know? And so the people coming in were just so sick, man. And I just watched them transforming in an hour and leaving just completely a different person. I was like, man, there's something to this. This is fucking important. And, yeah, man, it was a long journey short. After that, we connected with his mentor. I was traveling through Mexico, serving this medicine, studying with him, filming him, trying to make a documentary about all of this. The documentary kind of fell apart. I just went and traveled in Mexico. And I saw the reason kind of why it fell apart, and what I saw was there was a missing link between facilitation of medicine, of this tool, this biological tool we have, 5-MeO-DMT, the Bufo Alvarius, and those are the same thing, right? The Bufo Alvarius and the 5-MeO-DMT.
So 5-MeO-DMT is the active compound within Bufo Alvarius that gives you this experience. But it also has bufotenine in it. It also has other tryptamines and alkaloids that you're going to experience during it. But from what we can tell, like, it's almost indistinguishable from the 5-MeO-DMT experience, the pure synthetic 5-MeO-DMT experience. So it's they're very similar in that regard, but there is something really interesting to the Bufo Alvarius. It coming from the toad and being just so connected to nature. It's got its own energy for sure.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, man. And so long story short, I saw a disconnection there between, you're giving a bunch of people this really powerful entheogenic experience, and they're just sending them on their way.
Which can actually that can be detrimental in the long run, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So whenever you fragment and dissolve someone's ego for the first time, they feel like they died, and you come back extremely energetically sensitive. And so that's why it's really important to integrate in nature. And that's something we've been really focused on for the past year. And so I saw the missing link between that. So I made this integration document, felt called to make it and didn't think anybody was looking at it. Next thing I know, I talked to my mentor. He's like, oh, yeah, we give it to everybody. We even print it out and give it around. And so I met people all over the world, like Bali and Thailand and stuff, who have read this integration document after seeing my mentor, and I had no idea about them.
No way.
So it was so weird. Yeah, it's so strange. And so I was like, oh, shit, I better go, modify this and, update it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, yeah.
So I went, so I saw the missing link there, and I made the integration document and everything, but I was like, I really need to understand myself more deeply, and I need to understand the natural essence of humanity more deeply in our divine nature. And I want to reconnect with that experience that I had in Austin, Texas, that transformed my life. And so I went to Asia, and I went to India and Bali and Thailand, Nepal, studying meditation, sound healing, breathwork, and connecting with these incredible cultures, making films along the way.
Wow.
And got educated in meditation, breathwork, sound healing, and yoga. And so now it's come to a point where we're hosting retreats, we're hosting events, we're hosting all these different experiences where it's all integrated together, so that people can have this initiatory experience, they can have a proper integration, and then they can leave with tools that can help them throughout their journey that can be really beneficial.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
That's what it's all about, man. I think it's really interesting too. Like how for yourself, I mean, these particular medicines are very strong, and I don't think they just come across the average person. I feel like they come across people who have had experiences in life that somewhat allow them to be open to them. So was there experiences in your younger part of life that allowed you to feel a little bit more comfortable connecting with something that is as powerful as, because these are psychedelic, so there can be a vision, and it can be powerful. And I think you have to be ready for that. Was there a earlier part of life that got you ready for this?
It's interesting you say that, because there's a lot of digging that I've done in that area, because I'm like, why me? Like, why would this come across my lap, and why would I be called to do this? Right. Guy from Louisiana, central Louisiana, the fact that I even left the United States is a huge, very few people from there do that. Anyway, and I don't think it has anything to do with and this is going to get pretty esoteric, but my human life in this third dimension, and I had to do a lot of digging, spiritually within myself and with these other readers and clairvoyants and these amazing, mostly women that can kind of do beautiful readings for me. And a lot of them came up very repetitive with the same things, and they're just very intuitively resonating. So, man, my personal belief is that we all have our own unique journey as a spirit, or as a soul, as a fragment of source or Christ consciousness. And so for me personally, it wasn't in my childhood that inspired this, even though my mom was a spiritual person. But my childhood was really it was pretty rough, man. There was a lot of fighting going on in my family. A lot of my sisters were always fighting, my parents were fighting, then they got divorced. My mom moved with me out into kind of a bad part of town. We didn't have much money, lived by my grandparents. And so those things could have instilled definitely some work ethic, but With the Bufo Alvarius, man, I feel like my particular sole mission is to come here on basically contracted labor and to help with the ascension process. And I know that there's many other people, you included, potentially that are doing this as well. And when I surrendered and let go of myself, before I had this samadhi experience, I told the universe, I said, man, just use me as an instrument. Make me as valuable to as many people as possible, because I knew that value would represent the same thing coming right back to me. It would, so it's like selfless and selfish all at the same time. Yeah, man. You're taking care of yourself, which is ultimately number one, but at the same time, you're putting others ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Which is, the work, right? Service.
Yeah, man.
And so before that, I did that before I had this experience. And after this experience, man, everything just fell together like a puzzle just falling out of the sky, completely in place.
No shit.
Just forming itself. Yeah, totally, man. And it's been that path of surrender ever since. And it's been, the feeling, the essence of freedom is what we're all after. I believe that. And the feeling of freedom, whether it's spiritually, financially, physically, not being self-conscious about how you look, not being self-conscious about your spirit and what you've done, feeling this karmic pain. And then financially, a lot of people are thinking, man, I have to have all these resources to be financially free, especially in the United States. But when you become resourceful and you don't have many responsibilities, I admire fathers and mothers and husbands and wives, because I am none of those things. Then you can attain this particular freedom, and integrating this freedom into the body, I feel, is the essence of liberation. It's the essence of salvation. It's the essence of enlightenment. And so I would say many past lives, man, have led up to this moment of huge transition in human consciousness, and me kind of checking out the different transitions in the past. And and this is just one of the tools that the universe is like, here, use this,
Yeah, man.
Put this in the toolbox.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so cool because it's not just the only tool. I love how you're integrating it with everything, I mean, I feel like this whole thing, I talk a lot. I've had a few conversations with people about the plant medicine and like the more aggressive, I guess, forms of therapy that you can take place once you start on your spiritual path, because a lot of people start in maybe the meditation or the breathwork realms. And then eventually they find themselves, if they find that they can't peel back another layer, they go, wow, I'm still having a real struggle and I'm doing all these things. That's for me, like when plant medicines come for me. Now, I myself have yet to experience 5-MeO DMT or any DMT at all. I've done microdosing with LSD and psilocybin and hero dosing with psilocybin. And those have been my psychedelic experiences. And I will say psilocybin for me personally has been extremely transformative, especially on a microdose scale.
Oh yeah.
Tremendously. And it's so interesting how the taboo surrounding these particular medicines it's so heavy, because their ability to level the playing field and turn off the ego and help you see yourself from like a child's perspective is so powerful. And especially when you have people like yourself who are allowing for to be a guide for people through these experiences, and then given the integration tools after. And I'm sure that you probably keep in contact with a lot of these people after these things too. Totally. So are you doing this stuff with like a group? Do you guys have like a group of friends that you guys do this with, or?
So yeah, we I have tribe all over the world at this point. It's amazing. I'll come back to that, but just to go back to what you were saying earlier, the taboo, it's a really interesting time because it's transitioning into a time where psychedelics, plant medicine, all these things are being recreationally accepted, and they're being accepted as therapeutic, right? I mean, the statistics don't fucking lie, but the government will. You know what I mean? And the big players will, because if you want to keep, big pharmaceutical companies in business and all these multi-billion-dollar companies in business, they've been doing nefarious things to make the money come in for a long time. But these plant medicines and these different therapeutic remedies are being seen by the people, the common people, and they're like, this shit works. I don't need you to tell me because I experienced it myself. And so it's changing. We're transitioning into something more. Oakland, all plant medicine, ayahuasca, mushrooms, everything is totally legal recreationally.
That's fantastic.
Hopefully being used in a therapeutic setting with the right sitter, you know what I mean? Right facilitator. But there's always going to be a little bit of chaos before things kind of come together. And
that's the truth.
Right. And so we're seeing the change, but I do want to touch on one thing about like the common man, right? Everyday people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I experienced and something that I see a lot of other people experiencing as well. It's like, what can I gain and what can I attain to make me more spiritually evolved and more physically evolved, more everything, right? What can I go and get? And what most people don't know, and it's taken me a long time to figure out, is that really whenever you want to spiritually grow and when you want to experience a sense of freedom, liberation, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, the first thing you need to do is to forget.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
the first thing you need to do, unlearn.
Yeah.
And so, and I say that and people are like, what the hell is this dude talking about? But I want you to consider something. It's when we are 3 to 7 years old, our subconscious is basically a sponge. We're in this theta brainwave state and we're soaking up every single thing that happens to us. Me personally, my sisters were always fighting. My family was always fighting. It was fucking violent. And not physically, but always arguing. And so for me, I was always reactive. I was always, hesitant to get into altercations, like proper altercations, debates, all these things, or I'd be really fired up and vengeful. This is trauma that's stuck in the body, stuck in the subconscious mind. When your subconscious mind makes these connections, and it starts to build something called a myelin sheath around these neural connections. And over time, it builds and builds and builds until that thing is so ingrained in there. It's like concrete, fortified connection.
It's scary shit.
Right? It's scary shit. It's scary shit. But it's beautiful because we have tools for this. Yes. And your body also. Imagine when you're a kid, you touch the hot pan on the stove, right? When you touch that hot pan on the stove, your fucking finger is going to remember that.
Forever.
Your finger. Yeah, forever. Your finger in your subconscious mind, but also your finger. And so we have trauma, we have memory, we have fear, we have anxiety, we have stress stuck in our fascia, stuck in our nervous system, and stuck in our subconscious mind. And so if you think of you having a filter inside of your body, right? And this filter is where your energy flows. And you can eat really healthy foods. You can do meditation, breath work, yoga. You can do different modalities. You can do all kinds of stuff to keep this filter clean, right? We're going to keep it clean. But there's only a few tools that are really effective at pressure washing all of the shit off of the filter.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Oh, that's great analogy. Wow.
Thank you. And what I found to be the best tools for that are 5-MeO-DMT, transformational breath work, clinical hypnosis. And there may be a few, and there's other forms of hypnosis that are really good too. But I really encourage everybody to kind of start with the forgetting, because by the time most people get to breath work and plant medicine, they've been on this path for a while. They've been discovering things about themselves for a while.
Yeah. And
so although they shouldn't start from scratch there, as you're going on, and instead of you spending $10,000 on like an NLP seminar or something like that, while that could be really beneficial, until that filter is clean, then we're not able to allow our energy to flow more naturally. So whenever that energy flows and we have that subconscious trigger that person's going to hurt me, then we can't properly navigate our environment and communicate with that person effectively.
Yeah.
Right. And so we got to get rid of those triggers. We got to empty out everything and then kind of blast all the layers off the onion and then pack back on all the beneficial, conducive layers and then leave the rest of the shit to be, don't bring it back. And that's where the integration process comes in. But, I wanted to touch on that before I missed that point.
That's beautiful though, man.
Thanks, man.
Like blowing that off like that, dude, that's so true, because
true.
I talk to so many people about there's so many medications out there. Like I talked to you earlier and I told you that my spiritual journey started with anxiety, deep, like paralyzing anxiety. And I could have went the route of taking medication. I really could have. I mean, I just could have went to the doctor and I could have got medication. But something in me, and this was from my past childhood, is that, when I was in high school and stuff, I was using a lot of these things as recreational party drugs.
Totally.
So the idea of using these things to heal didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense. So, but I did know that I had heard of people like doing this deep work. Like my whole story was I ended up having an anxiety attack at a bookstore, and the woman recommended a book, and I could barely even read. And I ended up reading this book about meditation and getting into the vortex with Jerry and Esther Hicks is what it was called. I had meditation CDs, and that's what started it, man. But it took like 8 years of like me meditating. Now, I do believe nowadays that I've learned, I did it all on my own. I didn't ask for help. But nowadays, I think that there's a lot of help out there. But when I was doing it on my own, man, like you said, like, dude, this is something that you spend the time on, and it takes the work, and you do the meditations, and then you do like maybe journaling or integrating the learning that you get in your meditations. And if you get to that place after, like myself, 8 years, and you find that, yeah, man, I think I need to get that power washer out now, because I've cleaned the filter, but it's time to blast the real stuck shit off, you know?
Right. Totally. And, you know, at a time like this, at this time of transition where everything's moving super fast, it's like, how can we compile 8 years of meditation into 1 week? You know? That's the intention of what we're doing. And it's for the people, it's interesting because, you know, most people have a lot of healing to do. For me, I had done the healing, and I was in a place where I was like, I'm free. What do I do with my life? Make me valuable. You know, I've got all the time in the world. Like, let's do this thing, God, you know, I don't have to go take care of a kid or a wife. Like, I'm blessed in that regard right now. So what can we do?
Yeah, man.
And so for those people, it's like, you know, all right, here I am. I feel free. I feel good, but I'm kind of missing my purpose in a way. And then these therapies, especially 5-MeO-DMT therapy, can just speed ramp or just launch your consciousness into these absolute next stages of development, and to where you're, you know, very aligned, very connected with your purpose, living your purpose, and nothing complements that better than the surrender, and which I'm sure we'll get into. But I wanted to touch base on the mushrooms, because it's interesting. We're talking about how we need to forget first. And while mushrooms and LSD in particular, a lot of people think they have a bad trip. Well, if you're in the right set and setting, a bad trip can be the most conducive trip out there. Because if you're at some festival and you're drunk already and you take and ate the mushrooms, like, man, that's on you. Like, you got to be responsible with your body.
Bad move.
Bad move. That's a bad trip. Yeah, no doubt. Because it's gonna suck. It's just not gonna be good, and maybe it could be great, you know.
You never know, but there's such a toss up there, you know.
But whenever you focus on your intent, and this is ayahuasca too, big time with ayahuasca. When you focus on your intentions and you focus with what you want to bring into your life, and what do you want to magnify as your superpower, as your strengths, and what do you want to let go of that no longer serves you. These tools, we won't call them medicine, but tools, will show you your shadows, will show you what you need to heal. And so instead of being like, that's a bad trip, I don't want to experience that, I don't want to see that, look away. When you lean into your shadows and when you feel them, you go back through them. I don't know why this is the way it is, man. Human experience is fucking weird. But when you go back through them and re-experience them and then send them off with love, brother, you can feel it come out of your body. You can feel it come out of your subconscious. You can feel it evaporate, you know, and then you, oh, shit, I can take a breath. You know, it's an amazing thing. So I want people to really understand that, man, when you're doing mushrooms, LSD, ayahuasca, these long drawn out experiences, they're going to show you your shadows. And it's going to give you the opportunity to fine tune yourself spiritually and to really work on those shadows so that you can live a more free and abundant life.
And I think that's what the great part of a sitter is, because the sitter really gives you that opportunity. They allow you to understand that you're in a safe space. So when the moment gets like, and you want to run, they can be there to be like, hey, listen, this is important. You're safe. Sit with it. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Kyle Kingsbury. He recently just did, not too long ago, a 30-gram dose of mushrooms, which is just an absolutely obnoxiously large amount of mushrooms. But it's so much. But he read about, I forget the name of the gentleman that he read about that prompted him to do this. But he said it was
Terrence McKenna?
I maybe it was, but I think it was Terrence. Maybe it was. I wish I could remember. But
it sounds like it's something Kyle would do.
Yeah, and I mean, if you know, so if you know Kyle,
Yeah.
you know Kyle's like extreme, but like with intent.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, man, his story surrounding what he went through in that 30-gram mushroom trip, what he saw and what he allowed himself to experience, because he saw some gnarly shit, like some stuff with his family, himself, terrible things and great things, but he allowed himself to experience all of it. And he said when he finally came back, like he had never felt more alive after experiencing so many ego deaths, you know what I mean?
Of course.
So, dude, it's so incredible. You know, I
mean,
kind of want to. I kind of don't know if you don't mind. I don't want to shift gears a little bit, but
go ahead.
I was wondering. You know, I know that you talked a little bit about travel and filmmaking, and I had the opportunity to watch one of your documentaries, and I know you got to travel to India and experience like some of the gurus out there, and really like immerse yourself in the culture, man. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like? Because that's
totally. Awesome. So. Spirit of the Earth, right? The documentary that's intended to be a documentary series. This is the kind of person I am. I kind of do before I think. And so I make this documentary. It was the hardest thing I ever made. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a series. Like, this is going to be a whole season. And then there's going to be another season. It's going to be 5 episodes in each season. And I told everybody this, instead of being like, you know what? I made one documentary. Now I'm about to make another one. Then I'm about to make another. So I like hung myself out to dry, but like, and you know, whatever. But hardest thing I've ever done, man. India is amazing. It's the craziest place I've ever been. The most chaotic, most hectic, most unbelievably populated, just absolutely bananas. And when you get there, you have this massive culture shock. I actually had the experience of being in New Delhi, and I fly into New Delhi. I get haggled for like an hour and a half about taxis. I look up the best way to get a taxi there. I go to the taxi counter. They're like, they don't say one word in English. They're like, good, get in the car. So I do. I get in the car. And, you know, this is the perks of travel. It brings me to this like very strange place. I go up like 10 flights of stairs, and I'm at the hostel. I'm like, cool. So next day, I'm just going to catch a bus to Rishikesh. I'm in New Delhi. 9-hour bus. No big deal. I'm sure I'll be able to catch it. So they set up a taxi for me. Taxi picks me up. Mind you, this is the first time I've seen New Delhi in the light. I got there at night. So Dollywall just happened. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the festival. And they set off 1 billion fireworks. So it's so polluted there. It's like a 680 on the scale, and like 150 is toxic. That you can't see 20 yards, 20 meters in front of you.
No
it's
way.
That thick, with just like this yellow smog. And so as we're driving, I'm seeing, you know, fifth world shit. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And so this taxi driver ends up dropping me off under a bridge to catch this bus. And I'm like, are you sure the bus comes here? He's like, station, and just points that way. I'm like, okay, let's go. And so I get out of the car.
Oh my God, man! I'm
seeing people starting fires on the streets. Like they're getting their morning started. Yeah, there's like, I mean, it was dark, and bus never came. Never came.
Oh no!
And so I can't get any help. I don't really know what to do. Which you will get help in India. There's going to be an Indian couple that eventually helps you, but I don't know what to do. So I just pulled my camera out and started filming the chaos and like got a tic and just went like around and just filmed it. I was like, fuck it, man. I can either freak out in this situation or I can just like do some traveling, you know?
That's the work right there, man. That's the work that allowed you to do that.
Yeah, man, totally. And I've traveled a lot. And so, man, if you haven't traveled a lot and you're in that situation, it's fucking scary, dude. It's definitely
dude, I'm nervous and I'm sitting here and I'm not even experienced. I'm just listening to you and I'm like, dude, I'd be so scared, bro.
it freaks me out when I think about it, but it was beautiful because eventually I gave this guy like $5. He stopped this huge line. He was like, look, you're going to catch this metro to this bus to this, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So I just got him to write it down. I've got my computer. I got a MacBook Pro, 2020 MacBook Pro, a drone, and my camera and my gear in my backpack. So I've got like 15 grand worth of stuff on me. So I'm like, man, this is so sketchy. And eventually I get to the metro and this girl, this Caucasian woman, I was like, are you American? She was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. bus. Like, help me.
Yeah.
And she told me where to go. I get to this bus station, and it's just this epic. There's animals walking around. There's like goats and dogs and people selling watches and like curry. I'm like, holy shit, this is culture, man. Like, this is what it's all about. This is it. And so I'm filming myself, like, eating curry, and I get on this bus. It's like old ass broken down bus, and this bus starts taking off for Rishikesh on a dirt highway, and my jaws is on the floor the whole time. I'm looking out the window. I'm like, no way, bro, no way. It's rural India, and so it's like really pretty intense, man.
I bet, man.
Intense. And like the highway is like this ocean of people, bikes and like all kinds of. Anyway, eventually I get there. And then I stay there for a month. And Rishikesh is amazing. The Ganges River is Gatorade blue. Like that blue Gatorade, that's the most tempting one. I don't drink Gatorades anymore, but it's that color. That's the color of the river. It's the most polluted river in the world, but somehow in that Rishikesh area, it's not. And people raft there, and we swam there and all kinds of shit. The Babas, with the yogis, they drink the water. It actually kept them alive during their pilgrimage around Haridwar, Dehradun, and Rishikesh. So the Ganges is what they drank. It's what, they followed the Ganges there.
Wow.
And so there's these Babas, there's yogis everywhere, and they're all along the Ganges. I was like, man, this is fascinating. And so I was like doing this meditation, sound healing, and breathwork training in Rishikesh, like all of its yoga studios and schools and camps.
Yeah, man.
And so I was like, man, I think I'd be able to make a movie here. Like, we should do this. And so I talked to my buddy, who became my buddy, who was also my landlord kind of guy. I was like, man, help me make this thing and we'll do it. And he did. He like helped me get around and helped set up times whenever we could get the motorcycles and everything. And man, ended up making a film. Almost went to prison twice. Fell off the back of a motorcycle, going like 40 with my camera in my hand. My stuff died all the time. Like my SD cards, my hard drives, everything would break. My computer broke. The Wi-Fi and the electricity would just collapse every day in Rishikesh. I mean, it was absolutely hectic. Yeah, it was bananas. Man. Yeah, but it was beautiful.
It's so wild to think about, hearing how much shit you went through. And then after, like, I encourage anybody listening to this to go watch it, because when you watch it, dude, you never guess in a million years that you went through that much shit to get all that, because the footage is gorgeous, and the story's told, the story that's told, dude, it brought me to tears at moments, and like, wow, man. Yeah, man, dude, it's just really, I don't know, people who can capture the emotion of a place without much other than just the filming. Because I mean, you do a little bit of talking, but a lot of the most intense moments are just the filming and the way you show a story through just music. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So good.
You, man.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. I love stuff like that. So personally for me, like I'm a Peter McKinnon freak. Like I'll watch all of his like stuff and just watch his sequences and how he does that stuff. And then like,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's beautiful, dude. So
yeah. So you can see the incorporation of like my style of filming into the documentary, which was what really inspired me. I was like, man, I don't know if anything has ever been shot like this or created like this, because like creating the cinematic sequences with the music of the Babas was so much fun, dude. By the time it was ready to like put in and like and do that stuff, it was like, oh, like, man, not only was this an insane experience, but I captured it, and now I get to tell a story with it. And
that's the big one.
It's the most powerful way to experience something in my perspective. Like,
dude, the Babas too, man, their knowledge, bro. The one that you were looking for.
Baba Longbarti.
Dude, it's just, like that's the stuff right there for me, man. You get these guys and there's something about the way that they talk, and it's like I love how they talk and they say it in a sense that it's like, you already know this, you just don't know it yet. Like they say it to you with that like smile on their face, like it's already here.
Yeah.
And that stuff blows my mind. And it must have really done something to you culturally coming home from after being over there, like the difference in seeing that kind of happiness.
It was different, man, because India is so extreme. And a lot of the yogis, a lot of the Babas, what I discovered during the making of this film was, and just being in Rishikesh, was that a lot of them are like homeless guys dressed up as Babas to make money, right?
Oh, really?
People that are, yeah, totally, man. You know, if you grow up super broke and in a fifth world scenario and like you have the opportunity to make money off of Westerners if you dress up like a Baba, then that's one thing. But, you know, they give away a lot of their earthly possessions and stuff like that. But a lot of them come in with no earthly possessions and just act like a Baba. So I was like, you know, we found some real Babas and we found some fake ones. And I was like, man, we need to find like the real Babas. And my buddy Arjun was like, we need to go to Haridwar. So Haridwar, and you'll see, if you watch the film, you'll see the point where we come into Haridwar. We rented motorcycles, got on the motorcycles, drove to Haridwar. You'll see the part where the drone is introducing Haridwar. And so I got basically chased by a mob of people and was told that I had to go to prison for that footage.
No, and in India too, like
in India.
I would not want to go to prison. Yeah, tell me, dude.
No, definitely not, dude.
No way, man.
So I'll tell you the story. So we're in Haridwar, and a big part of it's like big water, like it's the Ganges. It's a big pool in the Ganges, and it goes through. And millions of Indians come there freaking every day to do the what's called an arti, which is a prayer next to the Ganges. They take a bath in it. They do all the whole thing. And so I'm the only white dude there.
Clearly sticking out.
Millions of Indians, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to get the drone shot. So I go over under this bridge, bro. I'm like super ducked off, much more ducked off than I usually am other times when I'm flying the drone. And so I put it up. As soon as it's up, somebody comes over. They say, oh, they're going to take your drone. The police are going to come get you in trouble. You ought to put it up. I'm like, cool deal. Yeah. Usually when somebody's telling me to bring the drone down, I'm usually getting the shot. And so I'm just super focused on the shot and like finishing the shot. Yeah. I'm like, cool. So I get the shot and I start bringing it back. As I'm bringing it back, so here's me, here's the water, here's 3 million Indians behind me. I put the drone this way, all the way in front of me, and fly back this way, so I don't have to fly over people. And as I'm flying in, Arjun's like, man, oh, they're coming. I'm like, stall them, man. Like, I'm not even turning around yet. I'm just so focused on getting this drone in. Yeah. And he's like, oh, they're coming. They're here. Get the SD card. And the drone's still in the air. It's like 6 feet in the air. And I'm like, and I jump up and I grab it. And it's like,
yeah.
This number. And so I turn off the controller and the drone shuts down. I fold it up and I stick it in my pants. Not my pocket, nowhere. I stick it in my pants and I turn around. And I'm like, what's up? And there's like a mob of angry people. And I'm like, no, I don't. And Arjun's talking to them, and I'm like, I don't know, okay. And I start walking away. And I'm wearing no underwear, so this drone's like teeter tottering on my crotch section of my pants. It's about to fall down my fucking pants leg, and I've got my other backpack like this on my side and my camera, and I'm like walking like this, like with a
waddling.
And like every Indian family I come across, they're like, sir, can we please take a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm not going to say no. So as I'm getting farther, I get stopped to take, and then so they want to take a picture with me and the whole family, me and each individual person, each individual in twos. So you take like 20 pictures.
Is this just because you're a filmmaker? That's it?
Because I'm a white guy. Yeah, American. Yeah.
Whoa, that's wild, man.
Yeah,
fucking crazy.
Super fucking crazy. So I'm like, yeah, of course you can take a picture with me. Like, I'm flattered. You know? And so it's because I want to take a picture with them too, you know?
Yeah, man. It's good for the film too.
It's good for the film, exactly. And so we're always exchanging pictures. And so I'm like, yeah. So as I'm moving farther away, I stop to take pictures. The crowd gets far closer. And
dude.
Yeah. And eventually our June comes over and he says, hey, man, they want to take us to jail. And I'm like, tell them no. Like, tell them you're not fucking going.
No, sorry, we don't go to jail.
And they're like, he was like, show them you deleted the footage. Just delete the footage. And so, of course, I've done this multiple times where I've gotten in trouble for flying the drone. I pull it up on my phone and I delete the footage from the DJI app, right? And it's still on the SD card. So I show them that and they're like, oh, and they're so pissed. And the reason why they were pissed, first of all, June was like, it's totally fine to fly the drone here. No worries.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is very common, people who fly drones. They get ripped for flying their drones, and it makes no sense to me.
Right. So Haridwar, where we were, received a terrorist threat 3 days previous from Pakistan. because there's so many people there. So my drone could have easily been a flying bomb that could have just incinerated everyone. Easily.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude.
They wanted to investigate me, to do all this research history. I probably looked like a terrorist with this.
And you're the only white guy there.
I'm the only white guy there. Yeah. I mean, I look conspicuous, and I could totally pass for like, you know, whoever, a Pakistani, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I had dark skin at the time, long beard, hat, you know, whatever. But yeah, so that's what happened. So that Haridwar footage is, when I watched that part of the documentary, I'm like, yeah, everybody watched it. They're like, oh, it's pretty. And I'm like, fuck, I can't believe I got that.
See, that's the shit, man.
Malfunctioning. Yeah, and the drone was malfunctioning as it was up there. So there's only literally every piece that's in the documentary. It was such a fucking beautiful place, too. And the sun was setting. I was like, I was looking at the screen like, oh my God.
This is butter.
Oh, this is so good and beautiful. Oh my God. And so then I get it back, and there's only like this much footage that I can use. And I'm like, whatever, I can use it. Like, all good.
You didn't get arrested. You didn't die. I
didn't go to prison in India. So that's,
that would be scary as all get up, man.
Bro, yeah. Happened in Peru too. Whenever I was filming, I was out in the grass blatantly flying the drone, and I didn't know the president's palace was right here.
Oh shit.
Right in the middle of Lima. So next thing I know, I bring the drone down, and I'm surrounded by like body armor cops, like straight up, like the Secret Service cops of Peru. And thank God we had our friend there, my buddy's recent girlfriend, who spoke fluent Spanish and talked our way out of it again.
Shit, man.
I know, man. It's fucking scary, dude.
Bro, I love it, man. You've had such like a wild life. Like, yeah, man. I mean, you can't. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
26.
That's even amazing. Even more amazing, man. You've done so much awesome shit at such a young age, dude. It's so fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Love the risks that like you've taken in life, and that allows you to like be a facilitator for healing for so many people, dude.
Yeah, it's strange how they correlate together. You know, it's there's not one time where you know, I'm a human being. It's like fear is always present in some way whenever I'm doing something like that, like facilitating for other people. Like it's my responsibility to make sure they're safe. You know, flying the drone in super sketchy areas in the third world, whatever it may be. But it's like just learning how to manage that and transmute that is a really important skill and really essential if you are on like the spiritual path, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So what do you got going on now, man, that you're excited about? What's the next big thing for you that you got going?
So in the midst of all the Corona craziness, we had a retreat booked for Mexico for July 29th. Mm-hmm. And we just we had to move it because they closed the border till July 21st or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So we moved it up to this really ridiculously beautiful, amazing place in Sedona, Arizona. And so we have a retreat coming up. The first one's full, and then August 6th through the 12th is open, and we're going to be exploring sacred ceremonies, breathwork, yoga, meditation, sound healing. It's very catered to create a container that really hits an integral and holistic approach to healing and spiritual growth. And so, upcoming retreat, August 6th through the 12th. We're going to start doing online breathwork. And so, I was doing that before for free, and now we're going to do the transformational breath work where it's like $15 or something like that. I finally have my girlfriend's actually like scheduling a lot of this stuff, so it makes my life so much easier, man.
Yeah,
it's like
that stuff's hard, man. I know from working in the Healing Collective and doing all that stuff. You start,
marketing,
especially
man, sucks.
And all these different. Once you start adding multiple pieces to it too, like I mean, we got so many pieces now in ours that after a while you're just like, whoa, dude, how do I organize all this stuff? You think it'd be easy because it's just a lot of it's done on cell phones and computers, but
yeah, exactly.
it's wild, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. And so, you know, we're doing everything that we can in the United States with all the legalities and stuff like that. And, you know, a big part of it's being, you know, a law abiding and, you know, tax paying citizen of sorts, you know, but also being able to provide these experiences and retreats. And so, everything that we do is by the book, and it's been proven to be really effective, man. And, but other than that, like I have a breathwork course that's available 50% off all, you know, right now and for a little while. And so, you know, it can take somebody from like, what the hell is breathwork to transformational breath work, alkaline breath work, yogic breath work, pranayama, and there's a bunch of videos to guide you through that, bunch of guided meditations in there. And man, so that's
and I'll link all that stuff too. If you want to send it, send me the links. I'll put it all in the description so people can grab it.
Brother.
Dude, and other than that, man, how can people go connect with you and like learn more about you and the retreats and everything, and watch your films, all that stuff, which I'll also, I'll
perfect. Thank
link.
you, brother.
You're welcome, man.
So I mean, people can learn everything through my website, connectandevolve.com.
Love it.
It's spelled exactly how it sounds. And I'm Connect and Evolve on Instagram. And then the real Ben Holt on Facebook. There's a couple of fake ones out there, so make sure you find the real.
The real Ben Holt.
all the other names were taken. So
I like it.
So So all that stuff, man, and I have a link tree on my Instagram that's goes to all the newest and latest things that we're doing for sure.
Killer, dude.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm so stoked about everything that you're doing. I'm super glad that like we got to connect, because I feel like, dude, we like soul brothers, bro, for real. Like everything we're talking about, like I just feel like we got the beard action going on together. Thumbs up on the beards. But dude, I mean, for real, man, super connected. I actually am looking forward to connecting you with some of the other folks in our group, because I think that they're going to super dig you and everything that it is that you're doing. I'm excited for people to hear this. I'm excited for people to connect with you. I'd actually like to get my butt out to one of these retreats at one of these
times. Come on.
I just left my job. I love my family, so it's not an unfortunate thing. I love my little girl and I love my wife. So there is some things that I got to put first, but I told you, I wrote on one of your things. This is a goal in my life. I will go to one of these retreats. And yours, man, I saw the pictures of Sedona, man, and I saw, and knowing your spirit, I feel like it would be the right place for me to be at. I look forward to someday maybe getting to rock this with you for sure.
Absolutely, man. We're going to have a lot of footage from the first retreat. So once you see that, the mouth's going to start watering and it'll be no time at all.
Dude, I'm already watering, man. I'm trying to figure out ways right now. I'm like working coercive. I mean, like, how can I work this out? How can I work this out?
Yeah. I can take care of this. It'll happen organically, man. I really believe that. You know, if you find in a lot of resistance, there's this book called The War of Art, and for the longest time I thought when there was resistance, that means you had to keep going. But it's like, man, why swim up the river whenever you can just gently navigate from side to side, flowing down the river?
That's the right way to drop the mic right there, my friend. Dude, Ben Holt, bro, thank you so much, man. And
thank you, brother.
I look forward to connecting with you more, man, for sure. 100%.
Absolutely. Likewise. Dude, thanks for having me on, bro.
Dude, thank you so much, man. Have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll be talking again soon, for sure.
Talk to you soon, man.
All right, brother.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, brother. Later, dude.
Later.
Thank you all so much for joining me again on another episode of the Longa Life podcast. I hope you guys loved Ben and enjoyed his storytelling as much as I did. I really hope you guys take the time out to go check out Ben's documentary if you haven't already. Like I said, it is one of those visually stimulating and emotion-evoking documentaries. Just through the music and the visuals, it's beautiful. And after hearing this, if you have not already watched it, I'm sure you will have an entirely different respect for some of the shots that Ben took and how he had to take them, the things he had to go through to get them. So that's super cool to have gotten those stories. Go check out his breathwork. That's a really nice gift from Ben to be able to get that 50% off. That's really cool. Breathwork is phenomenally transformational. It can be like plant medicine in the sense that it can take you to different levels of your consciousness that really help you step outside of your normal egoic behavior. I myself use breathwork frequently. When I mean frequently, I do breath practices every single morning, and mostly through the day I am practicing some sort of controlled breath, or conscious breath, I should say, not controlled, but conscious breath, as more along the lines of my throughout the day practice. But highly recommend you go check that stuff out. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate everybody checking out Purium. I appreciate everybody just connecting and listening to the show, running over to Apple Podcast, please definitely come over and connect with me on my Instagram page and my Facebook page too. I love to meet you guys and hear more about what you think and just know who's listening to the show. It also helps me come up with different guests that we could have on the show and things that you guys want to learn about. So thank you all so much. I look forward to bringing you another awesome guest next week. I hope you all have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week this week. Really get out there and crush it. I know times are rough. I know times are crazy. I know things are a little wild and we're all kind of confused about what the hell is really going on here. But just be kind. Be really kind and understanding as much as you possibly can. And this is July. Myself, I'm trying to practice as much judgment-free action this July as possible. So if you can catch yourself in judgment and try not to judge yourself for judging and forgive yourself and just really try to take a different avenue that will not only help you, it'll help this crazy world of people pointing fingers at one another, trying to make sense of this wild, crazy thing that we got going on right now. So I love, respect, and appreciate every single one of you so very, 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 very much. Thank you for listening to this show. I really hope it's helping you, and I really hope you're gaining value. If it is, please share it out to your friends, like, subscribe, the whole deal. Thank you guys so much. Until next week, get out there, guys. Make some shift happen in your life. And you know what? If you do, reach out your hand and help somebody else up too. All right? I love you guys. Peace out. See you next week.